see that. Everyone in the world wants to see that, so I think it's going to be a fun match.
It's what we hear about all the time, the Korean jet of Buzz, and now we're going to get to see him going toe-to-toe with Depp as we jump into Icebox, the first map of this series. And we were hearing from the desk that, you know, DRX, they have a pretty good track record when it comes to opening games at international events. They've picked up everyone so far.
Yeah, they don't have a great track record when it comes to Icebox, though, so we'll see which one is going to be stronger going into this matchup, but yeah, it's going to be the early start now over on that attacking side for DRX. And honestly, I think that this is one of those series for ZETA where I agree with Bala. Like, if they don't win this map, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for them, especially with their overall track record at these sort of events.
Well, look at this. We're only a couple of seconds into the round, and it seems there's been a clear definition of where this is going. The B side is under threat. You don't see this in EMEA all too often, and they're starting it off with a lot of aggression. Look who's already up in the spawn. Stack's trying to chase Depp down, but now he's in a bit of an awkward spot. He needs help. They need to come and try to help him out of this corner because it looks like ZETA know that he's in there. They're clearing it as they go. They've got to deal with Stacks in the spawn, and he goes out wide. Reload off, and a third almost found, but 10 just about survives. And look who's wrapping around the back. Another kill in the way of DRX.
Yeah, this is starting to become incredibly difficult for the defenders, but Sugar Zero will be able to clear one off the back and leaving it down into that 2v2. The problem, though, is that spike is ticking. They have to get a move on, and there's still utility just landing to try and deny them off that defusal. The swing does have to come through, but it's already done. DRX are going to get themselves the pistol, and wow, they're already getting close to what they did in their own region. I think they got 3 rounds last time they played.
Yeah, so pretty solid to pick up that opening pistol. You know, I noticed as we were going through the map vetoes as well that ZETA actually get to start on the defensive side on every map. And that's an interesting decision. I suppose that when it comes to Haven, certainly a lot of teams will prefer to start out on that attack and try to gain ground early. But it is an interesting one, seeing that DRX wanted to come in here and I guess come in swinging on the attack.
Yeah, I don't think it's like crazy, especially with how Icebox, especially in the past, was very attacker-sided, and with their composition as well. Like, they're going to have lots of opportunities, especially to try and deny that utility. Like, when you have, again, a chamber, a lot of the time you want to get aggressive and escape. Well, if you can't escape, it becomes a little bit more difficult, and especially with a lot of the defense you're going to see over on this A site, a lot of the time you rely on Viper utility, for example. Well, if that's gone, it becomes very tough.
They've done well to get a kill here already with Stacks going down. Also, the early orb by Laz, he managed to farm it and TP out. That's a great shot coming out of depth. This is starting to look doable, even with these weak pistols and eco for ZETA. That Spectre should do a lot, but they're really not landing their shots right now. It's starting to get a little scary for DRX, but then finally they come in to save the day. Defuse on the way, but they'll easily have enough manpower to break that wall. Still, 2 players lost, you know, considering they get onto the site, they do all the hard parts successfully without losing anybody, and it's in falling back to those post plants that they lose their first player and then another after. It's a little bit of economy damage that could have been avoided.
Yeah, for sure. And now coming into the buy round, it gives that opportunity for ZETA to sort of break back. And I think they're a squad that, especially with how Laz has been playing on this chamber, definitely has a little bit more depth than they did before. I think that they have him being able to switch over to different Sentinels, but you then also have, I would say, stronger duelists, and duelists, I guess, with more depth. And that was not meant to be a
Yeah. Gotta be careful of that one. DRX, they've come in and they've not invested too much here, you know? Even though they lost the 2 players in the last, they're happy to go for a much faster strategy. Plant's gonna go down. Now, they tried to deny that with the Snake Bite and Poison Orb, but nothing's really going to come through from ZETA to aggress into it. So that space is taken for free. The plant is found, and now with the weaker weapons, they've got a much better chance if they can catch these players off guard. Already, Zest has done well to find the first, and that avenue of approach is completely blocked out by the nade. But Sugar Zero's coming in on another angle, helping them out and retaking this control. This is a round ZETA should have in the bag, but these weapons can catch you off guard, and they're certainly doing that.
Yeah, this is incredibly dangerous, especially in a bonus round, and Marco comes through at the end and just closes things out. I think that, especially watching his Viper, he's one of those players that I think is just incredibly enjoyable to watch, but all in all, I think there's something that we have to mention with this series as well, especially some of the players like I sort of put out earlier that we've seen like Laz, we've seen Crow, we've seen Stacks, RB, all play against each other for years. And even if you go into the interview yesterday, you had the likes of Stacks actually saying like, I want to play ZETA. Like, that's the team I want to go for. Like, obviously, he did pick 2 of the teams in his group out of 3. So I guess he's basically saying he doesn't want to play against NIP, but you take that as you will.
I think it's more from a track record, right? He's got some revenge to claim against some of these guys. Now, for ZETA, that's a crushing third round, man. They come in here, they lose the pistol, it's fine, you ride it off, they do decent damage round 2, and DRX, as I said, they didn't really invest that much in the previous round. They didn't buy up on the 2 players. They dropped over what pistols they could, played it as a low buy, and with that, I wouldn't say innovative strategy, something we've seen a lot, splitting through mid, going up for that top B plant. They've claimed themselves a bonus. Now all they need to do is deal with these pistols, but there are a lot of them. Laz leading the charge with the Headhunter, but they're slowed down, and now DRX just shift their attention to the other side of the map where a plant should be secured pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you're going to see too often, is 4 players pushing down B and the other try and load back through mid, but DRX cope with it well. Already looking to get their 4th round onto the board, and yeah, this after plant, I don't think it's one that you can really hope for too much damage. Again, though, if you start to look at the ultimates that are on the other side, like Laz is going to get his tour de force into the next round, save them a little bit of extra cash, and have a chance to basically lock down that B side, or maybe get a little bit more aggressive, if that's what we're going to see. For now, though, he's still got his Headhunter, and maybe that'll be enough. 1 bullet, though.
Yeah, well, he might just be able to get a kill out of it. Shot missed, though. And look at all that utility on the spike. They've tried to push forward and take some space. Instead, they've done exactly that. It looks like only 1 left alive for DRX, but Mako gets out alive for 4 rounds on the board. A little closer than you would have liked for sure, and they're having a lot of problems on those post plants on A.
He's 9-0. Wow. He's clutched out the 2v2 in the last round, and they just got 4 kills to make sure they didn't lose to the pistols. Still a good round for ZETA overall. Like, they've managed to get themselves into a position where they have most of their ultimates online. They're coming in with the 4x. You got the operator, and you also now have yourself the tour de force. So it's definitely going to be able to shut down some more of those longer range angles. The issue, though, already 4-0 up, and still with enough economy to buy back into the next round. DRX, if they manage to win this one, I'm really worried for ZETA.
Oh, for sure. Things start to spiral out of control pretty quickly. I'm looking at Stacks here and saying he's got his ultimate online. Laz is going to try to use the tour de force. He's only got a classic to back him up. If he gets hit by KO here, he'll have no opportunity to take them down, but luckily that ult comes in a little bit late. Laz is already well out of there. He's TP'd over towards Kitchen, and so he's still going to be able to use that tour de force if he keeps range. But look at DRX. They're looking to take range out of the question entirely, but 2 quick kills for 10. That leaves the KO in the open. They want to try to get out there and recover him, but I mean, that's a risky move by RB. Okay, Deb really thought he had the flank open there.
Sneaking his way through. They're even going to kill off Stacks, make sure he can't come back from the dead. But they still have to clear this Viper's Pit. And it's going to be a lot easier said than done. You can see the utility already falling through. The players aren't within it. It's just buying them extra time that they have to sort of almost hunt for this player that isn't even there. And they're just playing those lineups. They've got it to half, though. They could just dodge the rest. But Marco, again, just swinging back in. He's having an incredible game so far. And now Laz is the only one standing. Someone's going to swing. But at this point, can he get it all the way through? No. It is Zest to close things out. And DRX, again, these afterplants have just been dirty.
Yeah, these guys are recovering so many bad situations. On the A retakes twice, we've seen them lose a lot more than I think they should have. And then right there, even playing outside of the Viper's Pit, that's what I love. They realized, okay, these guys still have the drone online. If we try to hold inside of this, chances are we're going down. So instead, they go back, they play the post plant. They know once the Viper's Pit falls, you still have the orb there. They pop down the snake bite, shock darts. I mean, that utility cycle kept ZETA back from being able to defuse for so long, and ultimately cost them a man advantage retake. That's 5 for DRX, with ZETA looking at an eco. The only player able to buy is the one who used the tour de force for the last round. So this is a really tough situation.
Yeah, they've got a Blade Storm at least, one off a res. Like, again, there's still some incredibly impactful ults, but it's almost getting to the stage. Oh, damn. I feel like I've just been chilled out. I was getting really worried, Mitch. I was like, oh, you know what? It's not looking great for ZETA. I really wanted them to come in off to a good start, but I'm feeling fine now. Honestly, they're going to bring it back.
They may well do.
I'm relaxed.
Yeah, we've seen these flip arounds happen when it comes to timeouts, and like we said, you are going to see a little bit of power behind this round with a Vandal for Laz, with a Blade Storm for Depth, but it's not going to be the prettiest of rounds. They certainly have had stronger ones in the past, but let's look back. We saw the aggression down B long. They 4-man pushed with a mid-split last time that they had a low buy. I'm interested to see if they decide to still take those risks in a round like this, where a lot of your players do still have weak weapons, so they can't really hold down positions on the map by themselves with classics. So if you're not going to play full aggression down one angle of the map, then you're going to have some sort of a backup to keep them back, whether it's your utility, like your recons going out to grab the information, to direct the players with the weapons early. More or less, you just need Laz and Depp to get players in front of them very quickly, or the round will start to fall away from you pretty quickly.
I almost want to just let it play out. I'm feeling so relaxed. It's like I could just have a little bit of a nap at this point. I'm sure the ZETA players are not feeling the same way at this stage, but it is good to see again DRX coming in off to a solid start. I've always enjoyed watching Marco on this Viper, but the performance he's putting in is a little bit crazy. It's also funny as well that the like highlights going into this one are obviously going to be Buzz switching his roles. Let's be real, that hasn't really been the defining point. Like, sure, he's been taking space, sure, getting himself after plants for the team, and then they've just been playing well from those after plants. But the fact that he's almost just been chilling as we see Zess, like in-game leader up there, 6-1, having a great time. I do worry though, because again, like this is the map that I feel like ZETA need to perform on. Like the next one, it's a solid map for them in the form of Haven. It's one that they're very happy to play. It's one that they've looked good within their own region. But that always seems to be the issue. Like when we highlight this squad as like, they are the best team in Japan. Well, we have to almost wonder how much does that mean on the international stage? And sure, we've seen a map go in their direction. We've seen a series go over to Crazy Raccoon, but again, that was against Havan Liberty, which we also didn't rate particularly highly. And they now want more. We've seen it from those interviews. We've seen Laz saying, I want to win a series. I want to see how far we can get in this tournament. And sure, DRX, they always come in as one of those squads again, which we expect to be basically challenging for the title. Maybe not winning it, but challenging. If they do just stomp through ZETA, I think that's a much better sign, even if we don't necessarily expect the same from the Japanese squad.
100%. Look, if you can come in and play flawlessly, sure, but for DRX so far, they have had to recover a lot of rounds, and I think that's where ZETA probably are able to bounce back coming out of this timeout, saying, look, yeah, we lost a couple of rounds, we're 5-0 down, but we were close to winning 2 of those. Very close, in fact. The defuse in the last, I mean, had there have just been a slight delay or a little bit less utility for DRX, it could have spiraled into ZETA's control, and it would be a different game right now. It's definitely not time to feel down in the dumps, but I am concerned because of the history, the track record that Japan has at international events. It's going to start to feel like, oh, guys, not again. Surely not another one. They need to find some success, and we know that it gets to them. You see, when the Japanese teams go out, there's no reaction like it. I mean, you can see how much it means to them. It's
the one time, like, you see, like, the camera guys, like, I'm going to get in, and so I'm like, you keep away from him.
Leave him alone.
Like, I always want to run out and just fight them on the stage. Like, you leave him alone! Like, stop it! But for anybody wondering, we do have a slight audio issue, which I believe is being fixed, and hopefully, I don't want to say it. I don't want to get Pam-ponched, but hopefully it should be fixed relatively quickly. You know? Yeah, but it's first day stuff. Player gets on the stage, test their things, doesn't quite work the way they want to, so they go, Mr. Admin, can you help me fix my chair doesn't feel right. You know, it's like, I can move it up and down a bit, but it doesn't, it's like the arms in it, and then...
Do you know what's really weird to me, man, is how different the players are, because we have a little sheet, and it's just a random piece of information. I don't even think it's for us. I think it's for the people assembling the stage, but it's interesting that some of the guys play with arms on it and some don't. It seems to be like a roughly 50-50 split on who has arms on their chair and who doesn't.
Yeah, on the chair. Not they do all play with their arms.
Typically,
not like our observers using foot pedals and stuff.
That is true. Yeah, they've got some crazy setups.
That's the one thing I've realized. But the further I get into esports is how nerdy observers are, because I always just thought it was like keyboard, you have your mouse, then you have another bloke that has another couple of things, and then you see like some people having like controllers, then some people having like different foot pedals that do all these different things. It's like, you know, the marching bands where it's like they're like playing a trombone at the same. That's our observers.
I hope production has that recorded. No, Tom just did a fantastic example of how a marching band works. So if y'all could just clip that afterwards, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's not going to be used for anything else.
I agree with you, Tom. You know, yeah, observers, such nerds, say the video game commentators. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're the cool kids.
We're the cool guys. Yeah.
Don't clip that.
We were the jocks. Yeah, please. Tom's he is handing out gestures right now. And it's great. I think they can chroma key out what's behind you, make it a green screen.
Yes, we've already witnessed.
See what they can do.
That could be edited. But
within seconds as well. So thanks for that, Tom. We're going to have some fun after this.
Speaking of observers, Zilf has a lot of spare time. Because he may have had a child, but he can still edit us into the different films within a second. So, you know.
Well, these comm issues obviously taking a moment, but I think ZETA are going to be happy to have a little breather. But you know what? Let's cut it short. Let's let him know.
I won't let him have a breather. Never mind! Get back in the game!
Hold your damn breath. It's 10 seconds left before we jump right back on in. And as you can see, things haven't changed too much since we went away. You've got a rifle in the hands of Laz. You're going to have Blade Storm for Depp, and that's you just about up to speed. This is not looking like a great round for the Zeta side, but they'll see what damage they can get done here.
Yeah, I really am going to focus on Depp a lot in this round. I think he's someone that, even watching within his region, can definitely be a little bit hit and miss. I think going on to what will be his primary duelist, we see him on the Jet, we see him switch over at times to the likes of Sage. This is the map where I need to see him step up to the likes of his opposition. And the thing is, so far, DRX, they haven't really needed Buzz to go crazy. Like, he's done his role, he's got them space, he's got them after plants, but realistically, they've looked better as a whole, whereas, especially in a round like this, when he's on that Blade Storm, I want to see him pop.
Oh, for sure. This is where value has to be found, really, and bringing that Jet through. You've got your extra little buy. 55 seconds left. Look how cautious DRX are being. They know that they're up against something. And they've heard that Blade Storm popped in the early stages. Look at this little bit of aggression, perfectly timed out of Laz. He makes his way through middle just as they move into the A site. But Tom, they have a misread on it. They think that they're setting up for a B play, so they've left A completely open. And DRX are going to walk in and find it for free, depending on the timing, because look at this. 10 is moving back around. Depp here with the Blade Storm, and he's just about avoided being detected. This could be huge. The information on the back of the side is there. The Blade Storm will try to pick off one or two. No success to start with, although that shock dart lands.
Look at the time. There's only 15 seconds left. If they actually just wait for this afterplant to come through, there's a real opportunity, but Depp gets absolutely nothing. Teammates still here. Crow will drop another, still has another shock dart to try and fire into the corner, and he's going to get himself a second. Jonas loving this one, leaving just stacks remaining. A 1 versus 3, an opportunity for a first round to come onto the board, but there's still a lot to be done. Laz will land the final headshot, and hey, all they needed was a breather.
That's all they did, a breather, a Blade Storm, and a big performance on that A site. Zeta are able to pick up a first round. They've got a few rifles in their back pocket. That's what you want after a pause like that. You have your conversations, you fix up your issues.
I love we talk about the Blade Storm and the rifle, and the thing that wins the round is shock darts.
Yep.
No one could have seen that coming.
Yeah, I know one guy. Well, you know, I'm looking at Depp on that, though. He managed to stay outside of even the detect when Stax was going in to try and make sure that that Blade Storm wouldn't be an issue for them. That didn't even come through in the end. All in all, beautiful round. Now, is it repeatable? Can we see the same thing again? Because remember, this was a very different face from DRX. They played super passive. They started to push with 50 seconds left. Time was a huge constraint. We won't see that from them, well, I wouldn't imagine, back-to-back.
Yeah, and their buy round kind of sucks as well. Like, sure, they've got some ultimates that should keep them going along the way, and they've definitely got Buzz now with an opportunity to sort of show why we're referring to him as the Korean Jet, because this is the chance for him to almost take over the round. But again, they look to head towards this B site. It has been hugely successful, which again, for at least from EMEA, that's a rarity.
Yeah, for sure. The A site run-it-backs have been in so many times. I mean, just watch a G2 game. You'll never see the B site. This is a big stack out of Zeta. They're already in position. This could be dangerous. Hunter's Fury coming through, but it doesn't land to start with. And RB makes it away. Lucky too as well. Oh, well, maybe not so lucky.
Yeah, he's been caught out. Holding on to this, not going to be easy, but again, they've just got all of this afterplant utility being set up to try and delay. It's actually not landed. That's a bit of a problem. It gives an opportunity for them to try and get in, but instead, Buzz just goes popping through the screen and already manages to drop one.
He's got an updraft if he wants to go above. Running low on knives, but now he's refreshed up. The backstab coming through. That's Hunter's Fury out of play. A little bit dangerous, though, as Sugar Zero's dancing around. Crow's coming in to help on the other side. Stacks, good for both, though. Closing out the round and putting 6 on the board. DRX, again, having success on that B push, Tom. It really doesn't feel like I'm watching Valorant, like I'm watching Icebox, getting to see that side of the map.
And then the problem is, as well, is that in terms of the actual setup for Zeta, they had all 5 players ready for the spike to go down. The whole point was that they were meant to deny the plant. That was the goal. Don't let them plant in the first place, and then it's dropped in the open with no Sage wall. Well, they failed with a Hunter's Fury, and that's where things start. You're kind of like, that was your whole plan. That doesn't work. It's a big issue, and then the retake was just not there. Like, even with the flank, it seemed a little mistimed from the rest of the players pushing, and you can't give DRX a round like that. Like, they were already in a great spot. Now, well, They've just destroyed your economy as well.
And to be honest, RB, you know, that Hunter's Fury not landing because they put down a snake by the Hunter's Fury, it didn't really matter because Laz still managed to take him out. So, like, the intention of the play sort of worked, except the spike got planted, which is a bit of a downside, obviously. But at the end of the day, you know, it's from there when things fall apart. It's the fact that DRX are able to consistently find those trades. But I'm surprised they revert back to the play that we'd seen just the round before when ZETA had the Blade Storm and the one rifle to work with. DRX, a minute in, are still in their spawn. They're holding defaults, waiting for ZETA to push.
Yeah, and I think they have to expect it at this point. Like, with the B site, I feel like playing passively just hasn't worked out at all for ZETA, so being a little bit more aggressive, taking that little bit of extra space wouldn't be a bad thing, and with only a Headhunter available, at least for now, there's potential to see a little bit more if Laz can get a couple of kills, but he's going to try and play a bit more aggressive, but there goes everything. He doesn't even think he has his pistol anymore. Oh no, he did. He managed to keep it.
Just about avoided it, yeah, and he's able to TP out because of it, so that's given them at least a new lease of life. Unfortunately, nothing was found in that initial duel. Hunter's Fury going to be popped through on the attacking side. There's a kill from it. He knows there's another player in the area, and although it doesn't find the frag, it's at least thinned out the defenders that little bit. Good shock dart, and they've been on point so far. RB, again, he's not able to get out of there alive, and now it's a little bit more difficult, but okay! Hiding behind his wall, Sugar Zero still alive, Snake Bite down for the kill, but it is gotten halfway at least. That is a glimpse of hope, but ZETA are being pushed on. There is no stopping Mako, and they know exactly where Depp is. He steps into the Viper's pit, and he steps right out of the round. 7-1. DRX are looking unbelievable on a map that, I mean, we questioned even when we saw this one come up. I was leaning towards maybe a fracture ban or something, and they come in. This is where we end up. Dominant 16-3 for Mako.
Yeah, I feel like the second it gets into like the last 20 seconds, if he's still alive, you've already lost. Like, he's had so much of his utility just held to those last few seconds to make sure that he could basically just pop it. Obviously, he's getting so many kills that the Viper's coming online every couple of rounds, and they don't seem to have anything to be able to force him out of that position. And even when they did, he was aware of it.
Things have been a little bit rough for ZETA so far. Now they come in. Full buy, no pause afterwards. I thought it was interesting in the last round. You know, we talked about DRX and how they hadn't, on the ZETA side, been able to hold the B site, and you're maybe thinking that they're going to start to change things up, look for aggression. The same thing here. I think it comes back to what Bala was saying. He called them the kings of, or the conditioning kings, was exactly what he said. And when you look at how DRX are playing, it does definitely feel like they're pushing forward, they're exploiting weaknesses, and then they're just sitting back and going, okay, what are you going to do now? How are you going to fix that problem? And they're not going to run in and let you catch them off guard. Great kill by Mako. That's Laz trying to get the kill and TP out, but Mako just doesn't miss, man. And he gets another. Come on.
You got your entry fragging Viper coming through. I guess at this point, they've just gone, Mako, you're kind of popping. Do you want to just give it a go? And he's just wiped out their whole team. In the meantime, they managed to get the plant down, and he's already still lurking around the back lines, just waiting patiently. This man is having a worldie of a game, and it seems like there's nothing ZETA can do about it.
I mean, when you're feeling it like this, man, everything's working out for him. Even look at that timing. He decides to walk back down through Tube, has his poison orb up. That's decaying Depp away, and then Depp steps out of it to try and get a pick, and Mako's waiting for him. It's like he knows exactly where these guys are at all times. Unbelievable for an 8-1 lead now on the attacking side. And we said ZETA, they're starting on the defense on every single map. If this is how things start out and DRX get to basically set the pace themselves every time, I'm very worried for the ZETA side.
Well, yeah, especially, again, putting into context that this is the map that realistically DRX don't really play. Like, even going back all the way to Champions, they played it once since then. Since they lost to Fnatic, they played it once. Now, I will say, probably should stick with this comp. Like, it seems to be working quite well, but I don't know if that's down to the comp or just down to the fact that it seems like, again, and this is something that I'll always credit DRX for, they have an incredible read on their opponent. Like, they know what they're doing. They're very good at catching off any aggression, and if you allow them to then fall into an execute because you haven't taken any map control, they're very good at setting themselves up. And that, it almost seems like at the moment ZETA are just struggling to disrupt anything that they're doing, and because of that, well, they're getting slaughtered.
Well, DRX are saying to hell with those slow strats. Time to pick up the pace. A-side attack. Tour de Force out. No more slows to come through. No utility whatsoever for ZETA. They've got to do this with their weapons. And Buzz, he's already here. A double kill for the Korean Jet as DRX overrun the A-side.
Yeah, and again, now it comes down to a retake where one of your players is basically using an operator. He's already gone. They are just picking them apart one by one. Depp is going to get a kill just as he leaves, but a complete change of pace. And again, something that DRX are incredibly good at. After playing these slow default rounds, patiently waiting, they throw in a fast one, removal your utility, and by the time you've even realized you're already dead.
Tom, I always put my phone away before we start this. I'm going to keep it away for the rest of the day because I don't want to see the tweets from Paper Thin and Achilleos after this. They're going to be unbearable. 9-1. I mean, this is the best we've seen the Korean team look coming into the event. Only one map, only 10 rounds in, but if they keep up this pace down, they're going to have a lot more eyes on them. That's for damn sure. Looking at this attack, it looks like a default play yet again. They're going to set up for B, same wall going down, and we've seen ZETA fall for this before. Remember the round they rotated off A, left it completely open, and the only player outside of B was Zest. He was just giving it away completely. He was selling the fake perfectly. They hope this time they can do something similar and cause ZETA to get a little bit confident and push down mid or something. But these guys, I mean, at this stage, looks like they're almost just playing scared, holding back, waiting for DRX to do something.
Yeah, and on the other side, DRX are like a regiment. They're just set up waiting, making sure that no one can get cheeky, no one can take any space. And in other words, no one can get any information. Instead, I actually like this change. ZETA's starting to set up into mid, looking to maybe catch them off guard with a little bit more of a push in that direction. The issue, though, is how much can delay. Like, will they be able to delay enough for this flank to matter? And on the other side, they still have Marco just waiting and watching. And with the drone being heard, I think they're going to have a decent idea that they're coming around the back.
Well, the idea might not matter. That's Mako down, the big player for DRX so far. Zest has caught players off from this corner before. They should be clearing it, and that they are. Down he goes, another player. Lost for DRX, but hold on. Surely they're not recovering this immediately. The spray for RB connects. The res is through. DRX are steaming back into the lead. In just a matter of seconds, this round just flips into their control. And now things are looking pretty miserable. Sugar Zero does his best, but I mean, there's just too much to play against here.
RB's timing, even off the swing of the drone, just hands him a free kill. And Crow, like, what can he even do at this point? Finds the first at least. 3 bullets left in the clip, and RB's going to swing off the back of the ping. Another player stepping up for the side of DRX, and, well, I think you can stick a fork in this one. I think it's done.
Yeah, it's certainly starting to feel that way. You know, when you look at DRX in these positions... Hey, listen, it's not even the first half over yet, Tom, you know? ZETA can double the rounds. Things can look fantastic, and that's a key point. They need to win this round, man. They've got one. I mean, you cannot come into the next half and hope to do it with an 11-1 score. We have seen it in the past, but it's a pretty big ask, and especially with the way that DRX are going right now. I mean, Buzz even has Bladestorm coming into this final round, give him a little bit of diverse battles to take. ZETA seem to be well, at the start of the round, 2 players stacked up on B. I was thinking maybe they were going to start shifting forward, and indeed they are.
Like, because I've seen that Viper's Pit online for a little bit now, and I'm curious where, like, he's got himself the Spectre, so he could definitely sit within it. They could use that to try and lock down some control on the other side of the map. Either that or they're trying to save it for a retake scenario, but I almost feel like they have to be more proactive at this point and try and take some map control away.
Yeah, I do also think, though, when you look at how DRX have played, which has been just straight blitzing, and even when they've blitzed into 5 players, they've still won the round. So I kind of get it from ZETA, just not gambling and putting all their eggs in one basket. Good opening already for Laz, and there's another. Still has his TP to work with, so he's going to stick around here, knowing that he can anchor himself over towards Kitchen if he needs. This is a perfect start to potentially double up on ZETA to close this out. He can't go too much further.
Yeah, not worth the risk, especially at this point. And, well, I guess he could just stick around for even longer, just trying to wipe out their squad all on his own. They haven't spotted the swing out from Stacks. He will be able to trade one out. Sugar Zero is going to go swinging, but he'll win that important battle. Looking like their second round is almost guaranteed, but I was going to say the last man standing was Mako, but thankfully they'll be able to get this one over the line, Mitch. And hey, they did double their rounds.
They did. Look, 2 is pretty abysmal for the first half, but we're going to hope that coming on into this, the attack can be a little bit different. You know, ZETA were in a position where for the majority of that defensive side, they were sat back. They were waiting for DRX to make a move, and you could see how some of these rounds were going. But Tom, you know what? Let's talk a little bit more about that first half over on the analyst desk.
Thank you very much there, Mitch and Tom. Now, we had this whole mini segment about the changes with the meta, about the agent compositions. At what point, Bala and Kakuka, do we consider Viper as the new duelist?
Some somewhere
I
there.
have no idea you're going there, actually.
I mean, I agree with Tom.
going, yeah.
I think I agree with Tom. He was like, you know, if you're having the game, just go and have fun. It doesn't matter what the Chamber's playing. We're not even going trying to neutralize him. You just go and pick him, and Mako was just doing it.
Yeah, that's what he was. But the thing that started it all was the fact that he was playing post plant so well. I mean, round 1 they started out with a post plant round, and it was his Viper mollies that really carried it all the way through. He's 20 kills in the first half. That is
Insane.
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And it's forced ZETA to play such a different way. I mean, they're holding the Viper's pit to use it for retake in that final round. He doesn't even get to use it, but I mean, there's still those instances where they're trying to flank, and Vision Strikers, DRX just got him covered.
And it's not only the kills, okay? We talk about round 5. They already have the Viper's pit. They know exactly what they want to do. They just go on A, set up, the plant is yours. ZETA given that space completely. And they're like, yeah, we're chilling. And we know it's an important round. They have the full buy, and it just kept happening over and over. We have Mako's ultimate. We just go on to B, have some fun. Lovely to see. You know, the only mistake that they made besides this last round was what happened onto A on that eco the ZETA was having, and when they were retaken. So what they did on the next one was like, you know, when they're playing on an eco, instead of just waiting on the classic DRX setup that they do, just holding the default at the beginning of every round, we're just gonna go in. We're just gonna go in. We have the kills and another run for us. So one mistake, one solution.
Yeah, you have to be prepped now for DRX to play these post-plant setups. You absolutely have to have reactions on how their reactions are going to go, because clearly that's how they're going to go.
I mean, hopefully we see a bit of a comeback maybe into the second half as I bring this back to Mitch and Tom.
Thank you so much, Sue. Yes, the second half is just about to kick off here, and it might not be that long of a half. Only a couple of rounds needed for DRX to push this across the line. I don't, but it looks like DRX do. They're speed running this map. We're going to be jumping in with a lot of information to play with DRX. They've spotted 2 players. They've heard a stampede outside of A, and Stax, well, he's going to play the retake that they've already set up, taking the orb and getting out of there.
Yeah, they have a lot of utility for it as well. Like, you look at the Snakebite, Shock Dart, Fragment, they're all just basically set up to try and damage that player who looks to go for the plant as much as possible. And they're looking to try and catch out the mid-rotate. This is a problem. Sugar Zero going down will leave them without the screen, so that they've already lost a big part of their utility as they try and make the entry into the site.
Now, we've seen Stax set up for this already, but that's to stop them from down below. Unfortunately, they have planted above, leaving 10 in a pretty good spot. Shock Dart comes through, and again, not going to find anyone. ZETA primed for this. They've lost 1 player, and DRX are retaking on purpose, and they have a Viper wall down to help them do that. So we need a duel to go their way, equalizing this up, but Dep's caught on the way back out. Headhunter running out of ammo, and the TP's needed to get on out of there. There's the wall to allow the defuse to already come through halfway, and this is looking like it's done. The defuse right under their nose. All the kills are theirs, but they can have them. DRX have taken 11.
Yeah, it seems like one of those points where they're so busy fighting everyone else that maybe even the call just didn't go through, that wall had come up. And I guess a lot of that just came down to a perfect read from DRX once again. Like, okay, they didn't know exactly where they would plant, but then they still had the wall and just countered them and held all of the other angles that they could actually swing onto the spike. And at that point, it doesn't matter. Like, they are adapting quicker than ZETA can actually come up with the idea in the first place.
And they actually did notice the wall, because the immediate reaction when the wall went up, everyone tried to shoot it, but DRX were right on them. They pushed straight away, meaning that there was no way to destroy it. You've got a classic, you've got to be spraying it from the second it goes up, and now there's players trying to kill you while you're doing it. So that was a lost round the second the wall came into play, and DRX had that much of an advantage to work with. Dep, well, he's been solid with that weapon in the past, but this time the Sheriff won't find anything. Another opening for DRX.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit of a fake as the remainder look to try and actually make a way in towards the B site. Already spotting out Laz as well, so they've denied so much extra control. It's just going to have to be a straight up push into B, and I'll be honest, I don't believe there's going to be much success off of this when there's already 4 players there.
Oh, this is starting to look a little bit scary for ZETA, because they've got pistols. They're moving up towards an open site, and if they don't have some very interesting ideas of how to get this done, I'm looking at an aggressive wall. No wall at all. It's one of those rounds. They're trying to bait players into open combat. They know they won't win for the most part. And look, if you put that wall down, 400 credits, then I'm not going to agree is worth spending in this round. So they've made the right call. They're going to get massacred just by the nature of this round. 12-2. And they'll be able to invest coming into what could be the final round. They need 10 in a row that almost seems impossible with the way that some of these players, especially Mako, are popping off.
Yeah, and as well, it's a little bit worse by the fact they get no damage. A Prime Gaming Flawless coming through, and it means that ultimately they've got themselves a free bonus as if they didn't already. Like, they can go into this one, take some risks, do something a little bit silly, and then still have, what, 9 other attempts to try and actually close out the map with weapons. So it's a very scary time if you're on the other side. And with 3 players already building up, it looks like they're just going to aggressively push forward. And because of the 0 point they've been throwing over the last couple of rounds, nobody really took any ground. And Buzz, aggressive, and he gets out.
That dash working perfectly to get him around the corner. But here's where at least ZETA can claim some of the advantages. They've got ranged fights on offer. Laz is trying to get a little bit aggressive. He's pushing up into them, and that's not expected. He'll be able to convert. RB down, numbers equalized. This is what you want in this round. Look for DRX. They've got weak weapons. So in heads-up duels, they should be losing. In fact, 50 HP left on Buzz. He was being tagged up that whole time. And they're trying to initiate some of these engagements, and successfully. Buzz shouldn't be able to get another there. He's bailed out, like he got snake bit and everything.
I don't understand how he's escaped at this point. He probably should have died after the initial duel, and he's still swinging into angles that they're spraying. If they're going to try and fall back from here, I'm worried for them, but at the same time, they'll be pushing into a 3-man stack if they don't.
Yeah, that drone obviously came over, so Buzz swings to try get them through the smoke once they get revealed. They have a pretty good idea of where he's going to be. I don't know if they saw him there. That drone got destroyed from backside, if I'm not mistaken. Buzz still dancing around. How is this guy still alive? He goes down finally, but Zez steps up to close this out by the looks of things. 13-2. We had our concerns about the Japanese region coming into this, but I hope that's not anything to indicate what's happening moving forward. Icebox, the map that everyone said would be ZETA's hands down. They barely got off the starting block.
Yeah, no, that is as bleak as it gets, I think. Like, they pretty much got battered all the way through. Like, maybe Laz putting a few kills up here and there, but the fact that you've just got Marco, like, far and away the best player in this matchup, and then everybody else was basically just doing their roles, playing as well as they could. Like, RB at the bottom of the board, he got half his kills in 1 round. It's not that he's playing bad, it's that everybody else is playing so